So I was going to ask you, one of the questions I was going to ask you was, how does the French way contrast with the North American way? But it turns out that you basically didn't really get that North American way as much as I thought you did. So,
Yeah,
but you know what that North American way
yeah.
is, right? So you
I,
could actually articulate how it's different. So how is it different for a typical North American undergraduate who's learning harmony
yeah.
in the typical modern conservatory? How is it different?
So the difference between um, the what we're doing in North American and conservatories throughout the world that follow that model, um, and between Partimenti and Boulanger is, I think, with the French exercises that I started with Partimenti, you're immediately connecting the theoretical concept with sound, with music, with making music. And I went through an amazing theory program, but it was always written exercises.
Mm.
Um, and there was still a jump for me to make when I wanted to compose, uh, to go from here's some pencil on paper to this is what this thing sounds like.
Hmm.
And what was really revelatory for me in Paris and then studying Partimenti is all of a sudden you you've got this bass line that you're supposed to realize, and you're putting voices against it, and you're singing voices against it, and you're audiating.
Hmm.
Um, so um, I remember one of the exercises that threw my brain just so much. Here's a bass line. Don't play the tenor. Sing and solfege the alto, and play the soprano on the piano.
Oh, wow.
You have to keep all of those parts. You have to keep
Yeah.
all of those parts in your brain,
Very horizontal. I that's very interesting. Yeah.
very horizontal, and it was so stinking hard. But it revolutionized my ears. It totally changed the way that I
No,
was
wait a
listening.
second. Hold on. Wait a second. So revolution people take ear training in conservatories. They do it's generally sight singing.
Yeah,
I know, I guess some places it's fixed do, some places it's movable do, but it's some kind of solfege in a conservatory. Now, how is this making your ear better in a way that's not doing it in the other mainstream way?
so I think what a lot of sight singing, um, and a lot of that kind of pedagogy. I had to do all sorts of intervals with, you find different songs that start with
Hmm.
whatever interval and
Yeah.
sort of train like
Star
that.
Wars is the
Star
perfect thing.
Wars and
Yeah, we've heard
um,
it all. Yeah.
yeah, The Simpsons and
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but you're just taking this musical element and you're just taking it out of context and it's just becoming this little thing.
And you're
Um,
feeling very proud of it, right? Oh, I
you
got it.
know, I sing a minor sixth now. Ooh, go
I'm
me.
a composer now.
But music doesn't work that way. Anytime that I tried to sight sing and I would think, okay, this is a major second, then a major second, then a minor second, then a sixth, and then a fifth, and then a seventh, and then I can't process that fast enough. Um I'm not smart enough for that. Um and so what this gave me is it gave context uh for being able, if I was singing in a choir, if I was working on a score at the piano, or if I'm trying to compose something and sort of pull it out of my brain, you're not doing it one interval at a time.
Mm,
You're doing it in bigger pieces, and it gave singing and playing and doing those kind of exercise really gave me some context. I thought I had really bad ears when I was doing my undergraduate because all of those exercises seemed really like I couldn't put them together. But then I realized I don't have context. I didn't have context, um, that I'm singing this line of mostly seconds, but sometimes that second's going to be the root, and sometimes it's going to be the third, and sometimes it's going to be the fifth of the chord. Um, and I've got a bass line to help me tune that and keep it in context. And there's other voices that are moving along with it. And so when you're when you're sight singing a melody by itself, you've got no context,
Yeah.
and it's really hard to
It's
sight.
an artificial sort of setting. It's not really. Yeah, I know you're so right, Ian. You're so right about this. And I remember when I was doing Partimento, the seconds, the thirds, the fourths, the fifths, the sixths. Now when we're doing dissonances, the seven or the four, they shout out at you, I'm a four almost, or I'm
Yeah,
a nine, I'm a
yeah,
seven. That never happened when I was doing, oh, The Simpsons, oh, the Superman theme. Or that never really, I mean, yeah, I could sort of, in hindsight, that's right. But when I hear a nine, and the whole context of the gesture, the preparation, it's the sound of the nine really comes into in real music too. That's another thing. It happens within the context of real music, and so you are absolutely spot on about that. Yeah, the audiation, the listening is totally different in Partimento. I have to say, I actually kind of stopped all that interval stuff. I know some people are really into that, but I just do Partimento. That's my ear training.
yeah. I really I don't think um, when you look back at when you look at Yerdigan's work and you look at other scholars' work, there was no ear training class.
They sang solfeggio.
They sang, they did Partimenti, and they did accompagnement in the conservatories.
Yeah.
Um, they were getting those skills in context.
For years.
They were really, and this is the thing that stood out to me when I was reading music history, is they were really, really good. So why don't we emulate their style of education to even come proximally close to what kind of music they were making?